Okay, line please.
Okay, at the risk of posing what may be seen as a naive question, can we draw any conclusions about the state of Japanese democracy from this event that's happening on Sunday? I mean, what does this tell us about, in the long run, which direction Japan is headed in politically? Thank you.
スピーチの中でも私は必ずしも安倍晋三さんの政治信条に賛成するものではないというよりもむしろネガティブな立ち位置にいます。
I refer to this in my speech, but in regard to Mr. Abe's political leanings, his political concepts and beliefs, I am not necessarily very much in favor of them. In fact, I'm, if anything, quite rather against them.
しかし、ファクトファインディングライターを辞任する私からすればですね、安倍自民党がここで315近い議席を獲得するとすれば、これまで言われていた安倍一強時代からですね、私はベビーブーマー世代ですから古いことになりますが、まさに安倍一強から安倍ファッションになると思いますね。つまり安倍独裁です。安倍さんが親しい、諸外国のトップ、ロシアのプーティン、先ほど出た、モンゴルのエルベクドルチ大統領、トルコのエルドアン、みんな独裁者です。独裁者とやっぱケミストリーが合うんですよ、ですから個人的には、危惧しています。と私が FCCJ で話したと、今日中に官邸に入りますから、なかなか官邸をこれから私は訪れることができなくなるかもしれません。
But as a person who professionally professes that he is a fact-finding writer, I must admit to the truth that I see. Until now, we've been talking about the era of Prime Minister administration basically being an extremely mighty presence and everyone else being very, very small. But if Prime Minister Abe and his LDP win something like 315 seats in the Diet, then we're going to be entering a new phase in Japanese history. I'm part of the baby boomer generation. Perhaps these kinds of terms are perhaps a little bit old-fashioned, but I think we're not just going to be entering a phase. We're getting away from a phase where it's the Prime Minister Abe administration being very, very dominant or strong, but rather we're going to be entering a new phase where we're going to see Abe fascism. And I know it's a very, very strong word, but it's really the authoritarian, autocratic kind of age that we're going to be seeing. Mr. Abe gets along with the rulers of several different nations. For example, Mr. Putin in Russia, the president of Mongolia, Mr. Erdogan, excuse me, and Mr. Erdogan, in Turkey. All of these, are autocratic rulers. There seems to be a natural chemistry that arises between like-minded people. So, again, the fact that I'm making these very strong statements in a very public place in the FCCJ, probably my words will be conveyed to the Prime Minister's office today, so I may find it very, very difficult to find access to the Prime Minister's office in the future. However, I'm very concerned about this state of affairs.
Mr. Toshikawa's statement about like minds thinking together is not his necessarily. Mr. Abe's aides also have in the press have said that he does get along unusually well with the individuals whom we just listed. And the implication there is that they are indeed birds of a feather that flock together. In terms of this, the state of the first issue that has to be worked out is by political scientists. There's actually a rule in political science that says that SMDs result in two-party democracies, in single-member districts. It's an actual rule in political science. So they're going to have to go back to the rule book and strike it out and say, except in Japan. But I am extremely hopeful that I'm made by this election. This election has resulted in people thinking seriously, particularly in the opposition parties. They thought seriously and acted seriously in reducing the number of districts where they were running candidates simultaneously. Within a period of 2 weeks, they were able to cut down in half from over 40 to down to 22. I think this is the final number of districts where the Ishinoto and the DPJ are both running candidates. That's really remarkable. As you know, negotiations here tend to drag on. I'm also very, very encouraged by the dissolution of parties that are personality-based. And their fate in this election will be obliteration. I count among them the Party of the Next Generations, which was basically an Ishihara vehicle, along with his friend Hiranuma Takao. That party is going to obliteration. We saw the half of the Your Party, which was basically a personality cult of Watanabe Yoshimi's. But when it turned out, the question that nobody in that party had ever asked is, where is all this money coming from that pays for everything? And he never told them, and it turned out he was basically running what was a Ponzi scheme for a political gain. Borrowing money left and right from all kinds of people and paying off loans with money he borrowed from other people, and eventually he got caught. That it came into the open that this was all based on borrowed money. None of which, of course, was recorded anywhere. Because so that was the problem. Not that he was borrowing money, but that he was not recording it anywhere. Those parties are gone. And that's a great development in Japanese politics, that these kind of parties are gone. The two parties that are left, the DPJ has a terrible leader. Mr. Kaeda's job, he did not understand this. When he was elected by the other members of the DPJ, his job was to resign after the House of Council's election in 2013, just like all good party leaders do after they lead their party to defeat. He didn't do his job. He stayed on. And even in this summer, when other party leaders tried to get him to resign, please resign, he didn't do his job. Failure was what he was elected to do, and he couldn't even fail properly. He's going to hopefully lose in his district this election. He's had a really tough fight here in this, where we are sitting right now. And if he's defeated in this district election, he's gone as leader. And the best thing that the DPJ can hope for is to hit close to 100 seats. Kaeda loses his seat, he can resign, and the next person can build on what has happened. That is a very hopeful outcome right now. Right now, the DPJ is looking at a terrible, terrible election. But there is hope for the future. It's much better than it was a few weeks ago. We have, with the Ishinoto, we have two very good leaders. Hashimoto has cleaned up his act, and certainly Eida Kenji, who was here just last week, 2 weeks ago, he's a very impressive individual and will be an impressive individual going forward. And these are the ingredients for a much healthier Japanese politics than we have seen over the last 2 years.